Do a roll call, please.
Councilmember Klur.
Here.
Councilmember Collings. Councilmember Stackfleth.
On his way.
Councilmember Globman. Mayor Redmond.
Here. All right, and Todd, I'll turn it over to you for the special presentation and announcements.
My preamble. Okay, so we've got a bit to catch up on since we've, as John mentioned, we've missed a month. A lot of people know that plans for library renovation and expansion have been in the works forever.
This is the introduction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The presentation, the introduction.
Oh, God. Sorry.
No worries.
Let me retract. Okay. It is
But I'm glad you're ready to go. I like that.
It's my great pleasure to introduce Kim Fowler, our new planning director. After Jeff left, we were thinking we weren't going to find somebody with the level of qualifications that he has, and she brings her own unique set, especially is extensive experience as specifically a CEQA planner, but a whole host of other experiences. So, welcome, Kim, and if you're okay, if anybody has any questions of you, please. And if not, again, thank you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Happy to have you aboard. Okay. Moving into public comment. If anybody has anything they wish to speak about that's not on the agenda, this is your time. Or on the consent calendar. Thank you. Seeing none, we will close public comment. And now, Todd, it's your time to shine.
Okay, back at it. All right, take two. So, library expansion committee is now disbanded. We have 100% design drawings in our possession, and I'm in the middle of writing an RFP, going out for design build services, and we'll get something out on the street here really soon. Okay, so, we've talked about the Surplus Land Act. I'd probably to go back over a little bit of a primer. We've got the landing, which is about 127 acres in total, 98 acres that are developable. If it's a brownfield site that we've got clean via an EPA brownfield grant, and so we would like to see that property developed, and under a recent California law, public entities, if they are going to quote unquote dispose of property, they need to go through what's called the Surplus Land Act that says before you can put a property up for sale or whatever you're planning to do with it, you need it to offer it first to affordable housing developers. So we went out for 60 days with an RFP looking for qualified affordable developers, and we had ended up having one response from two brothers, last name of Powers. The biggest shock for me is that we've been talking to K2 Development, two brothers out of Reading, who have done absolutely phenomenal projects. They're very creative. Had talked to them 3 days just prior to closing of the SLA, and they had a plan to submit. They didn't. It doesn't. So this gets a little complicated, but when I touched base with one of the brothers that following Monday, he said that his brother's got to sign off on it too. They just lost a big development project on the waterfront in Reading, a little gun shy, and they said, quote, given the political climate in Mount Shasta and the fact that we need to be up here and engage for 10 years, it may be at the time not to participate. But All right, this gets a little weird. So the one brother left and did a fantasy football weekend in Bozeman, Montana. He decides after his festivities he's going to go to a bar, and he meets this gentleman who's also a developer in the North State, and it happens to be the guy that bid on the landing, as happenstance. So they're now in conversations. I've been in touch with the architect on this, and you know they really want to go. The one brother wants to go. I don't know where they are right now. I met with the Power Brothers last week. They've got an architect out of Dallas that does master planning, and Populous is interested in doing the master planning as well, even if K2 doesn't go ahead, and we've got a reprogrammed $270,000 of remaining brownfield money to help offset the cost of that master plan, and both of them plan to, both of them are leading with a master plan, to build community support behind this project. So that's where we are in that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
That $270,000 that was repurposed towards the master plan, if that money goes towards the Powers Brothers or K2 or whoever, and they create a master plan with that, utilizing some of our funds, I imagine some of theirs as well, if for whatever reason that does not go through, will the city still retain a copy of that master plan for a future development that we would, or does that go to them?
No. The way we would word, and I'm working on right now, the RFP is this ends up being the property of the city, and the idea is to build consensus through a number of public meetings and having them, professional charrette process where the first iteration you take it back, you tweak what you can based on what you've heard from the public, come back, make sure you've got it right, come back a third time, and build that grassroots support so we have much more support for the project when it comes for approval than we have people that are fighting it, right? And the way you do that is you have general zoning and uses in particular areas, but you don't define them so much that a developer that comes in can't put their own stamp on it. And if we go with Powers, he's got his team out of Dallas. They also want to do a master plan, so they, whoever ends up in this process, they both want to lead with that, which is a very good sign. Okay. The other big thing is finally got an easement, language for a pipeline and utilities for the One Shasta well site. It's taken longer than I would have liked to get that to them. They're reviewing it. The next step is for us to meet with Kim and talk about kicking off the annexation process for them. And then finally, we've been doing our best. Mailers have gone out to the community. A town hall meeting that we're planning to hold on September 15th right here at 5 to 6:15 p.m. about the future of wildfire fighting, firefighting in the city and, public safety in general, and in line with fiscal austerity and the fact that we've cut our budgets down to the bone. So I invite, I've got extra copies up here. If anybody's interested, you'll be, okay. And I'd love to see you here. Love your comments. And again, September 15th, 5 p.m. And that's what I've got. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any counselors? No? Work on it here. All right. Any committee updates?
Yeah. So the Downtown Enhancement Advisory Committee met last week, and Melissa was kind enough to walk them through their budget and answer questions about, the budget over the last few years. And, and the DEAC was, they knew about this, but it's still kind of a stick in their craw that some of the money that was in that account that we thought, they thought was for their use for different events or different initiatives, was being spent for Castle Creek daylighting in the couplet and for rent before the purchase happened for the Chestnut Street parcels for parking. And, we're working with them to figure out, or Melissa has, on what we have available for them, and we're going to continue to meet with them and keep them updated, because it's a group that's really high functioning, and I really want to, I want to make sure that they can make forward progress, or, there's no reason for them to volunteer. And after many iterations of the DEAC, we've got a DEAC that is really, really clicking and very, very solid. So they talked about the desire to, DEAC's desire to start charging for parking, even if it's a minimal amount on our streets and in the Chestnut lots, something that, they want that to happen, but that's a long debate, and I know it's a touchy subject in the community. And they've talked about a possible upcoming presentation to council on what they've accomplished and what they'd like to do, and they're, again, can't say enough about this group.
Cool. Glad they're engaged. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. City manager recommends approval of the following consent agenda items. All resolutions and ordinances on this agenda or added hereto shall be introduced or adopted as applicable by title only, and the full reading thereof is hereby waived. A, approval of minutes, July 14th, 2025 workshop, July 28th, 2025 City Council and Fire Protection District joint meeting, July 28th, 2025 regular meeting. B, approval of disbursements, accounts payable, 8/11/2025, total gross payroll and taxes for the period ending August 7th, 2025. C, monthly investment report. D, the monthly police department report, July and August 2025. E, purchase of letter folder inserter machine. F, approval of contract wastewater treatment plant sludge removal. And G, tiny homes on wheels ordinance, second reading. Do I have a motion?
Before we pass that, I know a lot of people are here for the tiny homes ordinance. Maybe we should open it up for that item to see if anybody has any comments.
Oh, no problem. Okay. Any public comments? Feel free to come up. Just state your name and address.
Hi there, John. I'm sorry, Mayor Redmond.
I'm still getting used to it, don't
Yeah, my name is Glennis Stronghart. I live in Mount Shasta, and I'm so-called disabled senior. I live on disability and a small income from the work that I do. I'm finding it increasingly difficult to find housing, to maintain housing in Mount Shasta, because many of the properties have been bought up by people that don't actually live here, that are turning them into Airbnbs. I am a full-time resident here, pay taxes, and I love this place, and it's very, very difficult for me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay here. So I'm all for this. I'm on a limited income, and I'm an asset to this community. I love this community, so I'm for the tiny home ordinance. Please, if you could pass that, we'd be very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Patricia Carreras. I live here in Mount Shasta on Carmen Drive. I just want to say I think it's amazing that you all are considering this. We're in an age where housing is really difficult to come by, especially in Mount Shasta, but not just here, all over the country. People are not able to buy their own homes. Tiny houses are affordable. Seniors can buy them. I also am disabled. It's difficult for me to get around, but tiny homes can be customized for disabled people much easier than customizing a full-size house. And again, it's affordable. I live on Social Security. It's really hard to find property to rent on Social Security. For the first time in my life, I've had to live with roommates because I can't afford to live on my own. And having something where a senior can live on their own, be comfortable, be safe, and be in a community where they're supported and cared for, and they support and care for each other is a real positive thing. So thank you for considering this. Thank you for thinking of all of the people who want to be in this community, who love this community, who just want to make it better. Thank you for considering our needs as well as the rest of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Roseanne Ware. I live on McLeod Avenue. I'm a single mom. My son has lived here his whole life. We currently are in affordable housing, which is rare, but our house is full of mold and our landlord has not been willing to fix it. So we do need to find somewhere else to live because it's affecting our health. And it's really, it's very, very difficult to find. We've been looking to see if we can find something else we can afford so we can be in a healthier situation. So yeah, I would be very grateful if you guys would pass it.
Hi, I'm Maggie Woodard, and I just wanted to bring up another issue, another aspect of this issue. I live at Abrams Lake, and there are workers that are living in RVs there because they can't find housing. These are workers that, take care of our utilities, that work on the highway. When I was at Abrams Lake in the beginning, it used to be some RVers used to come through with Sam's Club, and then there's mobile homes around. It's a senior mobile home park. Now it is a camp where families of workers live. You don't see the fancy RVs with retired people. You're seeing people living. There's kids running around the streets, and they're living in these little houses with 3 kids. And so the other issue about affordable housing is the workers, that keep our highways, work on the roads. And so working people with kids and families that are maybe in their 30s, they don't have housing. So I just wanted to share that with you. So I think if people could do tiny houses in, maybe even maybe a parcel where you could have multiple tiny homes, that would be an option. I don't know what's going on with the landing area. Is that like housing development that's supposed to go in?
Yeah, we're working on, a proposal for affordable. We don't have, it's light on details that I was mentioning earlier. We talked about 60 units being the sweet spot, but the developers are looking at the entire site, and what was what was impressed upon the master planners and architects that are part of this, as well as the investors, is, there is a real preference for both affordable and workforce housing. And, they can choose whether it's deed restricted rentals, but there was definitely, I intimated to them that it's much more preferable for purchase options. Thus, younger families or whoever is moving into these things have the opportunity to build some equity and then move up.
Yeah.
So,
Well, do the numbers pencil out that
these houses, if they ever get built, will be affordable even with the
Well, anything
construction costs and bureaucracies and everything? All the things you have to do to develop a property is costly, and then you have construction costs. So I'm just wondering, but I've talked to somebody that used to be the mayor here, and I mentioned, well, maybe we should develop, a property where where you could have RVs or tiny homes. And it seemed like this person thought that was a terrible idea because he was kind of leaning toward gentrification. But that property down on the landing would be a perfect area to set up some kind of alternative housing instead of trying to develop housing that might be too expensive. It's just a thought. Okay?
Yeah, so real quickly, with the passage of the tiny home ordinance gets us along that pathway in various locations throughout the city. At the landing, if they're doing affordable, that's a certain income bracket. It's typically known as 60% of median family income within that community or less. And if they're using state subsidies, whether those are grants, low interest loans, tax credits, those homes, if they're rentals, need to be deed restricted for 50 years. But either way, if they're for purchase, they have to go to that, class of income.
So is that so that people can't buy into it and then speculate and resell for a profit? Does that have anything to do with it?
If they're taking these subsidies, these need to remain affordable for that class for 50 years.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I just thought I'd mention my idea.
Hello, my name's Eduardo Ochoa. I live in Lake Shasta. Been living here for 8 years. Have 4 grown sons, 2 of them married, 2 of them not. The reason why I say that is it's the American dream to have a home. It's always been a desire that when you marry or you grow up, you'd be able to purchase a home. That dream has been taken away from the next generation. All my 4 sons, they cannot afford a home. They want to have a home. They cannot afford a home. These tiny homes is an opportunity for them to be able to acquire what the dream of America is, and one of them is to have a home. So I'm in favor of the tiny homes so that it can give an opportunity for the next generation. I'm married over 40 years. I have a home, but I've been married for a long time. But the next generation, our 4 grown sons, they can't afford it. Give them that opportunity. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Evan Drake. I live on Vista. I'm a carpenter and a member of the next generation. And I think tiny homes present a unique potential for home ownership for people of my generation in 2 parts. The first being its built-in affordability, its size, essentially. It's naturally less expensive to build because of its size. The other part is the fact that often because they have wheels, you can have home ownership without land ownership. You can rent a space on which to put the home that you own. So for me and my wife and a lot of our friends, it seems like a very viable option for us to have something that is ours in an environment that makes that hard for most houses and places these days. So I hope you consider it. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? All right.
Hi, folks. My name is Rex and I used to live in Ashland, Oregon. A lot of people I know got pushed out of there for a lot of the same reasons these people are talking about. And and I want to come here and live. I'm retired. I've traveled around a lot of the western states recently, and housing shortages in almost every place. Lots of communities like this are having to deal with this. This is an option that's a pretty easy option compared to other situations. let's face it, you can't have a community without homes and buildings for people to live in and work in. This means families, kids, taxpayers, it means seniors, and small businesses. These are the foundations of every community. Now, these tiny homes can be built in factories to the highest specifications and safety standards. They're an easy choice for the needs of this community and people around the nation. When you have a housing shortage, it's a symptom of a decline in our nation. And it needs to be addressed soon before it gets way out of hand. And like he was saying, it can be done, and we can do it with your help. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Tara Gardner, and I live in the Mount Shasta area in Abrams Lake also. And firstly, I just want to say thank you so much. Seeing the City Council and the Planning Commission moving in this direction is absolutely amazing and appreciated. And also, I'd like to address what's happening at the landing. Wonderful. That is amazing also. So these two projects and these two project ideas are really good forward motion. And I'd like to also bring in the dream of many Mount Shastians of keeping Mount Shasta with that village feel. And making sure that our tiny home development, our development at the landing has a community feel and an aesthetic that is beautiful and blends well with nature and provides opportunities actually in such a way that maybe a community land trust might do. So considering that you not only have homes, but you also have opportunities for job and childcare and all of these sorts of things. Thank you very much.
And if I can interject, I don't know if this helps you all. We have, we've gone through the heavy lifting with the first reading. Tonight, council's here with this on the consent agenda, which just means, they approve the consent agenda, it's going to pass. But if you feel free if you want to get up and make your voice heard. And I would want to add one other thing too, is you all know that we've got a 25-unit affordable project in Mountain Townhomes happening, in town right now. And there is and if you reach out to Kim Fowler, our planning director, there now is a link on Danco's website on how you can get on the list for one of those units. So anyway.
Anybody else wish to speak before we approve this? Go ahead, come on up.
Thank you, Council, for listening to us, the community. I want to speak on behalf, again, as the next generation here in Shasta of community members who want to stay, contribute to this thriving community. We have, and I believe I speak for a lot of my peers and community members, we have builders, we have people who are willing to help each other and support each other in providing housing in this town. So if you pass this ordinance for tiny homes on wheels, it would be an incredible opportunity for this community to come together. So this is ultimately about community and giving us the opportunity to help each other and support each other in moving forward for the future generation here in Shasta. So appreciate you guys listening to us. Thank you.
You're only allowed once, sorry, just once. Anybody else? All right. The man himself, all right.
I'd like to thank Council 5 for 5 votes for making this happen, pre-decided. So we're just going to make that the filter now forever. I got an email here from a sister, Elizabeth Emerson. So she emailed me and wished to get her words together. She's here in Mount Shasta. She actually taught me a lot about this process, which is a whole process, so I'm learning. She goes, Honorable Mount Shasta Mayor and City Council, this letter is to thank you for your support of the Tiny Homes on Wheels ordinance. I know that Mount Shasta residents are grateful for this progressive, innovative ordinance. As a refugee from the Sonoma County fires, I was seeking housing in Mount Shasta several years ago. It was the most disheartening experience since the few rentals that were affordable seemed like public health hazards. Just as I was about to give up and seek housing in another county, I found a truly wonderful, perfect rental in Mount Shasta and have been able to work remotely while contributing to the local economy. Throughout Northern California, the limited affordable housing stock has been depleted by the vacation rental business and wildfires. This has impacted the working poor who often have to commute such long distances, spending much of their earnings on gas, adding to the region's pollution and carbon footprint. Tiny houses are a brilliant solution that has been implemented successfully in Europe and some American jurisdictions. Posts have gone viral on social media. I look forward to helping spread Mount Shasta's tiny house program on statewide, national, and international social media groups. Thank you again for doing the right thing to provide affordable housing to our local labor force. Gratefully, Elizabeth Emerson.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else before we vote on this? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public comment.
Move to approve consent agenda items A through G, G being CCO-25-08 by title only.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? All right. Thank you all very much.
Say something real quick. Hey, John, you might just say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for coming out and voicing your support. I haven't been on council all that long, but this is by far the most people we've had at an individual meeting. So it's cool to see people here in support of positive change.
Okay, moving on to number 8, the contract renewal with Visit Mount Shasta. Todd, you have the floor.
Okay.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
See y'all next Monday.
Yeah.
Monday.
We got that special meeting next month.
Town hall.
Measure all that. So budget cuts, all that fun shit.
Okay. Josh Thomas is, contract for marketing and social media for Visit Mount Shasta is expiring in October, and he's coming up here to give us a presentation on, a proposal to renew his work, and then just wanted to just introduce this, see where council is, and then we'll go from there.
Welcome, Josh.
So everybody got a copy of this as well, so you can see it too. But not a lot has changed since the previous one we sent last year. We have, the overview of what we're doing. We've had our strategy refined, but for the most part, we're doing the same thing as last year. So right, so our goal is to focus on elevating brand awareness and growing tourism in Mount Shasta and the surrounding area. Looking ahead, we aim to continue our audience and further enhance Mount Shasta's visibility. We've had a lot of success this year. Our number is almost and we're not even done with our contract. We've got a lot of good momentum, and we'd like to keep pushing it around. So this year, we want to focus on honing in those ad campaigns for stronger impact, curating engaging content, and prioritizing meaningful content. To strengthen these efforts, we've added a dedicated team member from the marketing consulting firm that was recommended by City Council. So that was Nick Deck's Heroes and Sidekicks, and so I've actually onboarded one of them and gone through the process to make them a part-time team member. So, current scope of work is we do 5 high-quality posts and reels, 4 reels, 30 stories per month. We tend to go over just because it's so easy to repost things that are happening in the community as people are engaged on social media. Well, we did a light overhaul of the website to make it cleaner and to make sure that the businesses were accurate and relevant. We're managing the YouTube account. We are engaging a lot more with the people on social media. Are going to impact our routes in Shasta. We let them know what the situation is. Also doing quarterly analytics. Website and social media. And then we only had the Sidekick for 3 months of this current contract. So for the proposed scope of work for option 1, we would like to up the amount of posts. And a part of this is going to be, as you can see, where does it say? We want to be more of a unified front with the visitor center. The visitor center is essentially the brick and mortar arm of the Tourism Bureau, and we are the digital arm. And so we want to kind of integrate them because they were talking about starting their own social media. I believe Allison was here talking to you guys about their situation, and we want to make it more of a unified front where we're not competing with different social media handles or websites. I know that there's still a place for a visitor center website, but I don't think that social media makes sense since they're going to be promoting kind of the same thing. So we can just make it one. We don't have to have followers split between multiple platforms or accounts. So the proposed scope would up the amount of posts, and we would have the visitor center be a part of that. 1 high production highlight video per year. This could be up to the discretion of the chamber or the visitor center. This could be a highlight video of all the different seasonal activities or a large event such as the 4th of July, things like that, since we have very old footage, but we're kind of recycling that. And even some of the comments are saying, oh, look, the same video as 3 years ago. So we'd like to have that updated. Maintaining the website and the upping the digital ad marketing spend from $750 a month, which it is currently, to $1250. Because again, we have a lot of good momentum. We've seen it work. Our ads are getting refined as we get better and better at this every year. And so next year should be no different. We want to have even more customer relationship engagement, and that'll be also helpful with the Sidekick that we have onboarded. Still the quarterly analytics reporting, but everything in bold is something that's new on that slide. And so the dedicated Heroes and Sidekicks consultant would bring that total to $41.50 per month. So the second option is pretty much the exact same. The price is the same as it has been this year, which is $3,200 per month. That would be 6 instead of 5 high-quality posts, so we'd be able to do 1 more because, again, we'd be integrating the visitor center. Still maintaining the website, the same amount of ad spend at $750 per month. Still managing the YouTube account. Again, we have the marketing consultant onboarded so we can have more engagement with the followers. Still maintaining the quarterly analytics, but integrating that visitor center unified front and having the consultant on board for the entire year. So those are really the 2 options we've come up with. And again, this is the same thing that we've preached before, that we had some other people that attempted to throw their hat in the ring. I think that we are just the most professional, most well-equipped, most certified company in the area to provide the services.
And you can see some of the analytics here. So we've steadily grown, and then you can see a big jump in 2025. That's mostly due to the increased ad spend in our refined campaigns. And again, we're not even done with this contract period. So we've had a lot of significant growth, even with, you know, it's hard to say we posted something, therefore we got this many people in town to spend money, and how much money did they spend. It's a little arbitrary, but we have the numbers to show what our engagement is. There's a bit of a feel of who's in town, how many people are in town. Again, you can't directly correlate it, but we'd like to think that we have a positive impact with the amount of people that we have reached with our different platforms. The most recent events, the Blackberry Festival was huge. The car show right before that was huge. And there seems to be an air of, you know, a lot of people in the community that are from outside spending money. So again, comparing this to just others, we seem to do a really good job with the small budget that we have. You know, we are rivaling the entire county's social media, as well as Visit Reading, who has a massive budget. And we are, as of, I think I last checked, we're about 18,000 followers on Instagram and about 11,000 on Facebook. So we're doing quite well, despite the, you know, smaller budget. And then as the TOT grows in direct correlation with tourism, our marketing directly fuels the growth by driving awareness, visitation, and overnight stays. With nearly 27,000 combined social media followers that we have on our multiple platforms, we're leveraging a growing audience to bring more travelers to Mount Shasta and more TOT dollars back into the city. So the impact extends beyond TOT as well. Visitors spend money at restaurants, shops, and local services that don't generate TOT but are vital to the economy. Our budget remains modest compared to these results, yet the return is clear. Marketing is not just an expense, and it's an investment that generates revenue and strengthens Mount Shasta's long-term economy. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, any questions? Okay.
I was looking at the different options here, just so I'm clear. Past the digital ad marketing campaigns there, you got the price. Is that just so like, and then you have the total, either the $4,150 or the $3,200 per month?
Yes.
The amounts in the parentheses there, so the $1,250 for the digital ad in the option one, or the $750, those are part of that total. You're just breaking it down.
Correct.
Okay, it's not in addition to.
No, that's part of it.
And then I noticed that the integration with the visitor center is only in option 2.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of paused, because I was looking for it. That is a typo. That should be on that. It's on both options.
And then I just had one quick question about the bottom one there, the dedicated heroes and sidekicks. I get who that is, or the marketing firm. It was a little before, but kind of explain that one to me. In option 2, which is more similar to our current, the dedicated marketing consultant, not somebody from that organization?
Same organization, yeah. Just again, another type.
So that part of it is included in either option?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Cool. I've integrated them into my company, essentially, so we're doing things for the county, the city, but they're going to be really good because they have that information and the work prior.
Okay. Any more questions? Yeah? All right, we'll open it up to public comment. If anybody has anything they want to say, come on.
Hi, you guys know me as Araya, half of the Yeah campaign. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts here. I am interested in this kind of stuff. I studied media in college, and I've done things, you know, grew a business, everything. So I just have a few thoughts or questions, I guess, from reading the proposal. It looks like, from what I'm seeing, the previous campaign has done a lot to bring more eyes to our social media page, and, you know, obviously that's a good thing. But I think, you know, an important question to be focusing on too, upon renewal of this contract and the scope and everything is, like, as far as how much money is actually coming back into the town. I see a lot about social media followers, the number of posts going up every month. I even see a lot of emphasis on drone videos, which is, kind of cool to have all that cinematic stuff. But, the bottom line obviously is how many more people are actually staying overnight in the hotels and vacation rentals, how much the local restaurants and businesses are actually seeing more customers, and then how much extra revenue is actually coming in, not just through TOT, but the additional revenue that's coming into all the businesses. So my question, I guess, is, because I didn't see any mention in the proposal, is how are we actually tracking those KPIs? How do we know the direct correlation between the investment that we're putting into the marketing budget and how it's directly tied to the increase in visitors? Because I think we all know just, social media followers and that kind of stuff isn't really a very clear metric. So those are the questions that I would want to ask. If I was in charge of this, I would want to be honing in on that, having clear KPIs, making sure that we're tracking real results. And then another thing that I think maybe could use a little boosting is as far as connecting it more with the local voice, right? Because I think we all know our town is very special because of the people here. And the visitors that come here are kind of unique because they really want to connect with what makes Mount Shasta special and unique. So I would really want to see more stories of local people, local things that are unique to Mount Shasta. I'm not really noticing a lot of connection with that. So I would want to see a heavier emphasis on that to do. So that's just my notes or my questions, things that I would consider and things that I would, want to see looked at. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? All right. Close public comment, bring it back to council.
So if I can, elephant in the room, of course, is our budget and being stripped down to the bone. I think the question with this, there's no denying the work is great and traffic is increasing. And, we're not knowing how that translates locally. I suspect that it's translating, but it's hard to quantify. But just those are things to think about. And, so teeing that up, and it's because it's hard to measure the actual return on investment, it's kind of a leap of faith. But, and that's why I didn't provide a staff opinion on this. I wanted to see where council is before we bring anything back.
Yeah, so my heart is always with advertising for tourism, whether that be at the visitor center or with Josh, or that's just how I believe is like the next step into getting people in. I've also been having meetings with the fire protection district, and we're trying to figure out how to keep our community safe with the lack of money that we have, that we've had to put police, fire, public works staff on freeze, and that's what makes it difficult to spend funding on marketing when we can't spend it on personnel. That's my initial thought.
Okay, so in general, I'll just say we have two marketing efforts regarding this area, Mount Shasta and then Siskiyou County. So the TBID program promotes Siskiyou County in general. It's called Discover Siskiyou, I believe. I think that effort and this effort, if you take them away, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that you would actually see decline in tourism. If anything, we need to spend more money on tourism. I I'm sorry, but $36,000, $37,000 is it's way under 1% of our budget. I'm sympathetic to the cause with respect to having full staffing, and if the consultant is right about the popularity of our fire department, the funding will be there, but you have to wait till next year because that vote's not going to happen until June. So to me, the only issue is whether we go with the $3,200 a month. Well, basically option 1 or 2, and canceling this, I think, is a really bad idea. So,
Is it in the budget currently?
Yeah, what I would want to just say one thing is it would be really nice to get our contracts on our fiscal calendar. And so I might recommend that we do a contract at the same amount, but just through June 30 of 2026, and then go from there and get them on the same cycle as our budget. So yes, right now the budget is approved at this rate through June 30. So if we did a contract and we just, instead of going through October 16, if we went through June 30, that would give him, 3 quarters still, and then we may know a little bit more potentially about what the budget would look like next year. And I've got some thoughts about how we'll proceed to that next budget, so.
And just to the point about the TOT, correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, but in reading the documents provided for this, our TOT actually was up last year, but our sales tax was down, right?
TOT was up, but it went up from 10% to 12%. So it should have increased 20% over what we had collected in the prior year, and I think we were just there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's actually a function.
People are coming here, they're just not buying dessert. So.
But it's a function of raising the TOT tax rather than actual an increase.
Nobody drinks anymore, that's the problem.
And we are starting to collect TOT monthly. That is going pretty well, it seems so far. And so I think we'll be able to start to see some trends that way as well. And I'll bring some information back in the next monthly investment report.
Yeah, I guess if we have to choose down the road between this or the visitor center, I'm on board with this because everything is on these, everything's digital. You're right there, everybody's on these things. I mean, if we have to, the visitor center can go to a kiosk. No, I'm not popular saying that, but that's just where I'm at with saving money that way. But the digital advertising is what we still have to, in my opinion, keep up on. And I like the idea of going to June 30th. I'm hoping that can work for you as well.
Yeah.
With that way, instead of October to October, try and get it on the budget like Melissa recommended.
Yeah. And I can craft it to be, something that is, if you guys have an idea of a direction that you want it to be, I can take that into consideration come June.
I just wanted to also clear some of the concerns that were handed out, just so it's publicly noted that I've sat with Josh numerous times trying to figure out what are the ROIs and how can we measure it, and it's like nearly impossible. And with sales tax going down, it has gone down, but that is all because of a slew of other inconsistencies with how we've been collecting sales tax, and it doesn't correctly reflect, in my opinion, how hugely busy our town has felt this summer and last summer, and those 2 events that you mentioned are prime examples of that. So, yeah, I'm on board too.
Good.
One thing I would actually be really curious to hear about your thoughts on if there is more room for integration with the visitor center, if there is some additional overlap that could be potentially cleared up there in terms of reducing the costs there, if you had thoughts on, you don't have to answer that right now, I know it's putting you on the spot, but.
Yeah, no, not at all. I talked with Allison and Kayla, and it seems, I'm not really sure how they're running everything over there. It's definitely their thing. But I have talked about how we can integrate based on what I do. We have the social media we can integrate. So again, we're not competing, but we're a unified front, and it's a physical arm versus a digital arm. Of course, like John was saying, that we can have a lot of reach with digital, but there's an in-person, personal, qualitative thing that comes from the in-person. So we just want to utilize both to the best of our ability, but again, yeah, hard to quantify ROI on both of those things. So we created an online store, which brings in a little bit of revenue. They are going to be moving that to from Visit Mount Shasta to the Visitor Center page that they're currently developing. We don't want to lose the amount of traffic that we have because we get way more traffic on our website than the website's not even created yet. But we're going to have it be unified in embedding the same thing. So it's driving traffic to either or. We're funneling to each other and not just, again, being separate.
Well then, on that note, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I got it. So Josh, are we doing business with theascensionaesthetic.com, the Ascension Aesthetic?
Yes, correct.
.com?
Yes, that's the website.
Is that the business?
The business is the Ascension Aesthetic. Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to move to approve a renewal of the Visit Mount Shasta marketing campaign with the Ascension Aesthetic through June 30th of 2026 for $3,200 a month, option 2.
Well, yeah, we forgot to, which one are we agreeing on? I forgot that part, yeah.
No, that's the motion.
32, yeah, 3,200.
I'll second.
Second, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. About something that the guy was talking about earlier about being able to track where the people are coming.
Was it Jason? Yeah, I've looked into it. It's a little bit blurry.
Okay, moving on to number 9, contract renewal with Development Compliance Solutions. Todd, you have the floor.
Yes, okay. So I want to pull this agenda item, and this is why. There's kind of been a last-minute development, and I haven't had a chance to reach out to Leo DiPaolo, who heads up this firm. You know, it's a big expense. Each year they do great work. We're trying to find out if an individual that we're talking to who's known and provides good services, he would like to come on potentially as a part-time employee, and thus we'd be able to, there'd be somebody here local that's integrated in here 3 or 4 days a week, and potentially saving us some money, and we could provide the same level of service, and they've agreed on their own dime to work towards. They're able to do plan check up to the biggest commercial development stuff, but would work towards getting that designation for full plan check within the year. So we're trying to figure out, what we might be able to pay. And I didn't want to then come in here without having a conversation with Leo and unilaterally say, hey, we'll just run this contract through this period without having a conversation with him first. So I'll bring it back to the next council meeting.
So table motion, so we need a motion to table this?
I don't think so.
Anybody?
No, I don't think so.
To table this agenda item to 2 weeks from now?
Yes.
Would it be the 22nd?
Yep.
2nd of September?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? Okay, moving on to number 10. We have the Washington Drive Savory results. And Ken, you have the floor.
City Council, Mr. Mayor. Give me just a second here. Am I on? Yes. So last fall, the council directed us, the city, to go out for an RFP for a surveyor. to find out exactly what we have in the way of right-of-way, existing right-of-way on Washington Drive, and what is lacking with the eye toward being able to do the full improvements we need on Washington Drive for both storm drainage control, safe streets, building it out to full width with sidewalk, curb, and gutter. This is something we would need to go after any kind of a grant to do those improvements. That survey's been completed, and as you can see in the packet, we're lacking a lot of right-of-way to do what we need to do on Washington Drive. And what I would like to do is have council give us some direction on what steps you'd like us to take next. Admittedly, I'm a little light on background on this type of issue. I know we're going to need to talk with all the residents, get their input. We're going to have to discuss what the options are for the city as far as purchasing right-of-way, asking for a gifted right-of-way. Do we even want to consider the concept of condemnation to take over the right-of-way? I'm sure legal counsel will be part of the discussion. We need to talk about funding for it. So this is what I'm looking forward to get from the council.
Can I frame this a little bit?
Can you dumb it down for me, please?
What's that?
Can you dumb it down for me? Thank you.
Okay. So, you know, we've had the issue, obviously Washington Drive is a mess. It's in terrible shape. There are traffic crashes, and we've got sightline issues. We have inability to put a bike lane in there. It's not well-designed road. So originally when we were looking for doing a survey out here, it was because we had conflicting maps that showed, different widths of right-of-way. And so we want to figure out what's true. And so what we found here is the right-of-way we thought we had to provide for travel lanes, for a bike lane, and replacement of curb and gutters, we don't have. So it involves the potential, all these private properties along here. There's some bit of land that we would need to acquire in some fashion, whether it was through donation, through purchase, or through condemnation, to get this done. And but on the other hand, if we don't do this project, without curb, gutter, and drainage at minimum, you're going to have flooding issues, one. Two, you're going to continue to have degrading roads, and you're also going to continue with the collisions and not resolving this issue. There will be grant money at some point, we hope, available for this reconstruction. The trick is that the kind of grant money that we're talking about, it's not often that you see that some of that grant money is available for right-of-way acquisition. So, between a combination of, volunteered relinquishment of a bit of property for a properly functioning roadway is one opportunity, and nobody wants to talk about the idea of condemnation or eminent domain. But that's another. The other option is purchasing it. Which of course we just don't have the ability to do. So that's the crux.
Good.
I got a question, Ken. This is for you probably. So looking at this, I can look at it here. Any idea, without taking this map and going and walking it, any idea like if we were to approach homeowners, property owners and say, hey, this needs to happen, of the areas that need work that are not owned by the city or we don't have an existing right of way, Any idea how many of them are like someone's garden that they've been working on versus just a dirt lot in front of the house that most people would be
In
okay with
walking
seeing
the
approved?
street, I'd say the vast majority of it really is not well developed or tended or maintained.
Okay.
I think there would be, I'm shooting in the dark here, but I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of the people would be willing to dedicate or for a very low fee gift the city. If we could make them some kind of a reasonable promise, they would be getting sidewalk, curb and gutter, full pave out in exchange. That's kind of a hard promise to make.
And there are ways to do it, excuse me, to do that through quitclaim deeds or, there are other options, but
This might, just throwing something out here, this might be something to form an ad hoc committee to really get into the meat of, to give you a little more input.
You wouldn't?
Our library one just finished.
What's that?
Do you care deeply about Washington?
Yeah, I drive it every day, twice a day.
Sounds like you're
His fault.
It's very bumpy.
I know, especially that one dip right in front of
Room
Perry
for
Street.
improvement.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, if there's no more questions.
I got a question.
Okay.
In your experience in Mount Shasta, have we done something like this before? And what was?
Not to my knowledge.
Not here. Okay.
Okay, well, no more questions. We'll open it up to public comment. Seeing nobody in the audience, we will close public comment. We bring it back to council. Hey, we got to do it.
Okay, so through
In
the
case
chair.
somebody comes running in.
Through the chair? Okay, so staff is looking for direction on this. We have a problem, so to speak, a roadway with lots of room for improvement. Whether it's through an ad hoc committee, and I'm not going to be part of that, but I think the goal should be to formulate an approach to actually solve the problem. So that's where the ad hoc committee, along with staff, could come in and try to do that. This is going to be a long-term project for sure, but I think city managers, this is probably done somewhere in America, and we need to just plagiarize what's worked.
I'll tell you, I don't, my take on this right now is we don't need an ad hoc committee. I think we just need to do some legwork and figure out who's willing and the distances from, from the current quote unquote semi-curb line to what we need, and letting folks know this is what you'd end up getting in return. We don't know when this is going to get done, but we really need to do this for safety. Someone's going to get hurt. And we also, your properties could flood. Do that legwork first and then see where we're at. And if we're able to get the majority of folks saying, yeah, we're on board with this, we work the process and, showing that we've got individuals that are willing to part with some property, that also goes a long way towards chasing a grant.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this doesn't require a resolution, we're just giving you guys direction, because
Yeah.
sounds like the place to start is just approach the homeowners and see how many people we're short of. If all but one person is on board or something like that, then we know the one we gotta do, but it seems like that's the next step, is just figuring out who's on board.
Yeah, we just got to carve out where the road wants to go and who's got to give up what or not. So.
And we stick John on the ones that don't.
Give me a garden hose.
Exactly.
So we'll give staff to pursue the improvement of Washington Drive in a multi-step fashion, starting with the contacting of property owners who will be affected by change of easements and so forth. That's the direction motion.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Second the non-motion.
Yeah, we don't need the motion, but yeah, just start the contact.
Does that work for you, Ken? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do the project. We'll see you in 10 years.
2030.
Different homeowners by the time it
2030, look out. Okay, moving on to number 11, California Office of Emergency Services, the agent authorization that we've been waiting for. Todd, what's the good news?
Okay, so for us to seek reimbursement in the case of a state-designated disaster, we've had in the past a blanket allowance for the city manager and another designee, in this case, Public Works Director, to sign anything we need to seek reimbursement. The last was in 2017. It expired in 2020. And then along came Hurricane Hillary that precipitated that mudslide above Upton Highlands. And, we are seeking reimbursement for cleanup and damages from that mudslide. And we need this reauthorization for us to seek that reimbursement. So it's a little bit of housekeeping.
Any questions? All right, we'll open it up to public comment. Still nobody in the audience. We'll close public comment.
All right.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the reappointment of the city manager as California OES agent regarding signing authority.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? All right. There's one on that. All right, moving on to number 12, the city grant review. And we'll move on to Melissa for that presentation. Thank you.
Kind of been a long evening, so we'll try to get through it. But a few, I guess the last audit committee, I brought a report on the grants that we oversee to the audit committee and reviewed that with them. And during that conversation, we decided that it would be good to bring that forward to the full council so that we have some awareness of where we're at with grants, where we're reporting, and what the timelines and things are looking like. And we do have quite a few grants, so it's a lot of work for a lot of, staff. Everybody plays a little part in it. And so I just think it'd be nice to make sure that we all are up to speed and that the public's aware of what's coming into the community. It's of great value. So we do currently have 13 grants, and the total amount of those grants is about $15 million. The largest grant is through the State Water Board. That's the new project that's going to be starting on the water distribution system improvements. I think they're maybe going to start this or next week or something like that. We have a partial completion on the Mount Shasta Boulevard. We're waiting, or we've got an amendment to do some additional work there on signage and traffic safety.
Yeah, signalized traffic crossing or pedestrian crossing.
And then we continue to work on the Lake Street planning, and we have a STIP grant for that to do the work as well once we get that planning stuff done. So a lot's been going on with the road projects. We also have additional grants that are through other agencies that will impact the City Hall Plaza, the Visitor Center. We have the senior snow removal through the CDBG program. They're actually going out to bid for the contract on September 17th. So that's been underway. And the 3 of the projects will be set to complete in this fiscal year, 25-26. So there will be a lot of work going on around those. The biggest one, probably the water distribution system. So I don't know, this is kind of it is a new report for you all, I understand. I just tried to lay out where we're getting the money from, kind of where we're at with the spending, how much the award was for, who is getting the funds to do the work. So if you look at this transportation grants, we just finished the project with ST Roads, and they're going to continue with that work for the lighting or the safety stuff. So we've got the Lake Street We've got the Safe Streets for All. I think that's getting ready to wrap up as well with Kimley Horn. And then we have the 2 large water grants from the State Water Board. The stormwater one is a planning grant. Is that right?
Planning and design.
And design.
Yes.
So we've got an engineer hired for that work as well. It's a large dollar amount. And then I mentioned the CDBG. We may have some other opportunities coming along with CDBG in the coming quarter or so. So there might be more to come on that. We have 2 fire grants. One, we got a lot of equipment for 4 different agencies in the area here. There's a little bit left over of that, about 80,000. They're working on what they want to spend that on, getting a budget adjustment. That went to 4 agencies. And then we have a wildfire mitigation grant that's kind of been on hold. They've needed to do a budget adjustment instead of hiring the staff and moving that towards a contract. So we're going to be going out to RFP probably in the next few months, I would say, to get that done. They're a little shorthanded right now, so want to get on that, but get the priorities. And then Todd mentioned the other grant that we have earlier for the landing. That's a grant that will go through 2027, so we have some time to work through getting that master plan stuff figured out and worked on. I think a budget adjustment is needed as well. And then we've got the Parks and Rec grant. That one we've had for a while, and we've had several meetings with the grant administrator. I think we've got some shuffling around that we'd like to do with some of the funds that'll benefit the community in a little different way, but we'll be able to spend the money, so that'll be good to get that going. And then we have a project through the Housing and Community Development to work on the land use element, so Kim gets to start fresh with that. And so, yeah, you can see these grants touch pretty much all the staff, and it does take some time. And so I think it's important for us to let the community know how much money is coming in and what we're doing to keep these things moving and coming into the community. So I don't know if anybody had any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Any questions? Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so this clears up the question as to whether we did get the Prop 68 money. So our allotment, everybody's allotment, including the rec district, for instance, is $177,000, $178,000. It has been little or no talk about this until very recently. In fact, did you know this? No. Okay, so this was just hidden as to whether this money had been granted. I wonder if we want to have a little discussion about that at the council level, or should we just let staff decide what to do with the money?
We have a finance committee meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe
I'll try to
hold
be
it
there.
till there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Now
do
you
that.
have to come.
Okay. I mean, for instance, the visitor center, this is to finish the roof, right? I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but is that what that is?
So, yeah, there's actually 3 different projects in this one grant.
But then in something else, it says like reallocating away from those. What?
So
No, they don't want to do the paving. They want to do the roof now.
yeah, and so we would need to do a reallocation for that, and it would be significantly less to do the roof than it would be to do the paving, and we would be
That
able
little
to.
parking lot, is that expensive? You talking about the one right adjacent to the visitor center?
That I would.
That's more expensive than a roof.
The paving in question is the new parking area on Chestnut.
So the original grant was to include paving at the visitor center.
Yes.
Yes,
but-
and I think the budget for that was around 50-some thousand for that paving.
Wow.
And from what I understand, the bid for the roof was,
15.
yeah. So we would be able to reallocate some of that funds to the Chestnut project.
So
if I
what's
can-
what's the City Hall Plaza project?
So if I
Removing
can,
a tree or something?
Yes.
yeah, so if I can
So
walk.
you're allowed to use this money for so somebody said, I think it was your predecessor said that this money is going to only be used for capital projects, and the person that runs this district behind us here, which we're in, said, no, you can just about use it for anything, like removing trees. What you got, Todd?
So,
in other words, it's been really unclear, and right up to the point where, like, we didn't know we had this money as a council.
Let me walk you through it, what we've been talking to with
annoying.
The state. So, we finished up the visitor center, what we're going to do there. We've walked away. We're going to not pave that parking lot. We are going to fix that roof. There was money for City Hall to rearrange some of the landscape elements out there, and what we've done instead is say, well, we need to spend money on a real problem tree that's going to end up dropping into the roadway. We need that removed, okay? And then part of the original programming was something called Castle Creek Park, which was, it was this amorphous park design that didn't really do much, and it was around, the binoculars looking up to the mountain. And so, we're trying to reprogram that money, the remaining money from the visitor center, and the money not spent at City Hall for us to do a parking plan. Ken has put together a parking plan in-house, and then the paving itself is about $80,000, and we're working to reprogram that money to get those lots paved and up.
Okay, so that's allowed, even though it's not really park related?
We've got, verbal from the state.
Okay. Hard to argue with that, because we did buy that, and it does need to be used. That parking would be very popular, given the location.
I just wanted to note that we're doing this for the visitor center because that's city-owned property, correct? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I get the drift. The shift for a large portion of the money is towards the parking lot for the land we just bought, the Brownell property. Okay.
Yeah, we just looked at it from what we thought was the highest and best use of those funds in light of, where we're heading.
I wish it was a lot of money, but it's not. This district used most of that for the roof here in this building.
This was needed.
Yeah. So this is a report, right?
Yeah, this is information, yeah.
The senior snow removal one, you mentioned that grant ends at the end of this year. Any expectation of it being renewed, or is that something that we're going to have to look at as far as funding in the future? Or?
So that grant is actually ran through Great Northern Services, and I'm sure if it comes out again, they will apply. I mean, we will apply with them, but I don't think we know yet if that's the case.
Ultimately, it originates with the feds, and did they, what we don't know is whether they have decided to cut funding to block grants.
I guess my question was actually slightly different. If they choose to, if it doesn't get reallocated, or if that funding is not available, is this something that we as a city need to be looking at in the future for budget constraints, or is this something that we would do as a city without this grant funding? Yeah, this specific one. I'm just not familiar with this specific one, and maybe this is not a question for right now. But.
I think
didn't that happen a couple of years ago? We didn't have the snow removal for some reason. Like
So this is for seniors that sign up and have to meet eligibility requirements for them
we
to.
weren't able to provide it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, depending on, when we get the notice and they say we're not going to fund block grants and this falls away, we'd have to have a conversation with Ken and look at staffing. This would be something that I think the city would want to do. It's like, what suffers, right? And we'd have to have that conversation in-house.
Yeah.
And then bring it to council.
So we're going to have the conversation again. Okay, anybody else? More comments, anything? All right, thank you, Melissa, for that. All right, moving on to outside reports. Nothing, all right. Moving on to future agenda items. If anybody wants to add anything.
I think we should remove the revocation of business license, the loges.
Oh, how's that going?
Yeah,
Is
so,
paid?
yeah.
All paid up?
Yeah.
They're good? Everything's, really? All right.
Yeah, that should be an easy one to track.
Nice, all right. All right, anybody still want to add anything, even though we're deducting that one? All right, the meeting is adjourned. It's been a month, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
See you next Monday.